Gotta get a shirt.
All right, we're live. So, Vitaly could not make it today. He was scarred by the Palantir conversation of last night.
What the fuck is that?
Is that the hub? Is that Brazzers?
The hell is that?
Sounds,
The
Oh, it's some
pain.
stupid ad
That's-
playing
that sounds
in
like-
front of your video.
That's thank you everybody for being here. 64 people in 20 seconds. That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Seems like you guys enjoyed a little bit of the conversation we had last night and debate we had last night. Vitaly will be here. He's just getting held up, so he'll be here in like I don't know, in like 10, 15 minutes or whatever. But yeah, we are here on Finance Junkies. Hold on, let me you're muted. Okay, go ahead.
I was saying it's okay. I can say DCA into quality companies like Amazon and Google and Facebook. You know, I could say that.
He's like, everyone hates me because I say DCA into high quality companies. It's because everyone and their mother has said DCA into high, like have an opinion.
A lot of Vitaly's thing is he tries not to put himself in a position to be wrong in the future. So he's always you know what I mean? You can't argue with DCA. You can't argue with Google, but he won't really go out on like a limb and say something that could come back and bite him, you know?
Okay, so how do you, before we get into some stuff, how do you feel about that concept as a content creator? Because Chris went out on a limb and he said, look, SLG, I'm a bull on it. I like it. I've been out on a limb saying Palantir is great, all this stuff. Do you think you have to do that to survive in content, or can you get away by being in neutral and not really having an opinion?
Well, to survive in content, yeah, the more you put yourself out there, it's like risk reward. But whether or not that's the right strategy for your investment career, I don't necessarily agree. This is one of the reasons why I push so hard on this Palantir thing. Like, you're 25 and I want to see you be like a multi-millionaire at 35, whether or not your startup or whatever happens, you know? And I see a lot of myself, 25-year-old myself and you, and I just know I've run the numbers, man. I could have been several millionaire several times over by 32. And here I am at 46, grinding 50, 60, 70 hours a week to make up for lost time because there's just not as much runway, you know? So we joke around about it and I play around about the Palantir thing, but I'm just like, just move the money somewhere where you know it's going to grow and just be wealthy, man. Just be wealthy.
I'm in the same camp as Carlos, because the thing is we've all been in your shoes, Amit. So we've tackled the nuances of investing based on your heart and not your head. And then because the one thing you're not going to get back is time, you end up dealing with the fallout of it. And then you got a ton of regret for it. But you know what? I'm not
real quick, Carlos, just reduce the volume just a little bit on your mic and then you're good. Or go ahead, Chris.
But I'm not going to criticize you or put you like down on your position with Palantir, because there are some life lessons that I hope you're learning because of it, about how like important it is to DCA, not to go all in, and the bottom is never the bottom, that there's always chances that things can get lower, to protect yourself against this downside, you know. So these are the things that you learn as you invest, you know. So I'm sure that Carlos can tell you about his war wounds. I've told you about some of my war wounds. We didn't get to where we are in terms of returns because, you know, we got everything right, and I'm sure that we'll get things wrong too. So, you know, with regards to the conversation about taking risks as a content creator and putting yourself out there, I know that there is sometimes almost like a fundamental need to do that regularly
to stay relevant, right?
To stay relevant, but that's not a good thing long term. Like you want to be right enough to the point where people respect you and not give you the, like, so I understand what Vitaly's coming from. So like, people will remember your failures way more than they'll remember your success. Like, look at Jeremy Financial Education. From now on, he is known as the guy with Tattooed Chef. Like, no matter what he does, how many other successful things that he does, every time anyone he says anything, I know, just comment section is Tattooed Chef. Remember Tattooed Chef? Remember that? Honest Company is another one. So it just becomes that you live with so many L's in your basic like thing, that you should never go 100% on a limb for any single company. You know, I'm not saying I don't go on a limb for certain companies. Of course I do. That's just a part of it. But I do fundamentally feel that they're undervalued companies, or their prospects of growth are there. And so if I do take an L, I'll admit it. I'll just be like, hey, listen, I took an L on it. I will. And I'm also the type of person that if I'm taking an L on it, I will clear it out. I'm not going to just live by it because I'm on public saying that it was a good company. Because at the time, it could have been a good company, it could have been a good investment, and then things can change. And if things change, you have to get out. I know I got so much hate from the Palantir community because I sold out of Palantir when it was like $11, right? But it was the right move for me at the time because I was like, look, I don't want to lock up my capital in something that compares comparatively to where the general market is. I want to be able to make some returns on it. So I think Palantir in 10 years will be a much bigger company than what it is today. I think there's a lot of opportunities for it to grow. But as far as I know, it's not executing that vision just yet. So why would I hold on to it? Why wouldn't I want to invest in things that are executing, get the returns, and then later on, once I see Palantir executing, totally down to buy more again, you know?
Yeah, look, that's fair. That's fair. And I guess it's it all comes down to it's kind of like if you stick with the ship when the ship is kind of sinking and the ship ends up not sinking, you get commended for that. But if the ship ends up sinking,
I've gone down with the ship on a lot of stocks to the point where I understand that, hey, I don't want to be the captain of that ship anymore. I'll be the like on Titanic where the dude is like, hey, this is my child, and he gets on the lifeboats. That's me. I'm that guy. I'm getting getting to New York, bro. I am not going down in the iceberg.
Bro, that guy was a snake. That guy was you just wanted him.
But he was alive. He was a very live snake.
Yeah.
Okay, is Titanic real quick? Titanic a top 5 movie of all time? Yes or no?
I don't think so.
No. Top 10?
Maybe top 20. But
top
maybe
20. It makes it top 10. Interesting. I've watched Titanic many times.
Huh?
Yeah. I've watched it many times. Like I've seen Titanic.
You ever watch any Gaspar Noé films?
No.
Like Irreversible or like Enter the Void. Those movies will erase your mind. Like check that out. You check out Into the Void and then talk to me after.
I'm more of a Butterfly Effect guy. You know, the one with Ashton Kutcher. Right. That was good. You know, and Donnie Darko. That was another good one.
So, well, open that link that I sent you. I want to hear what you have to say.
So we're gonna get the night started with 2 things. Before we get the night started, it is until Vitaly gets here, the late night cowbell. So we got to get the night started with a little bit of cowbell.
So they were actually asking
here.
For that.
Welcome to the late night cowbell. Now we've got a video to react to before we get into some more stuff. And this was an interesting video I saw today by a YouTuber that I know. His name is Vince, otherwise known as the Bullish Investor. And let's just say it was a good video in my opinion for some of the commentary he had on a little bit of a clip that I posted from yesterday. So let me just share Twitter, and then we're gonna watch this clip. And we'll go from there. Here we go. This is him reacting to our take yesterday.
We're doing a reaction. This is like Inception for reaction videos.
There's no debate with anybody. Wait. Hold on. Why? Hold on. How is that at all relevant to the argument I'm saying about AI? He can't give you your 10Xs if he's a bad business leader. He just can't do it. That's the guy that can't do it. Yeah. So dude, I invested in a little company.
Okay, so Carp cannot give you 10x's on your money because he's a bad business leader, and if he would leave the stock with 3x, and I'm telling you, only idiots think this way. So now I get to explain myself.
Dude, what's with the laugh?
That's my laugh. That's how I laugh.
You're like part Harpy, bro. That was like Harpy or Wizard of the Oz. You know, the Wicked Witch of the West. That was like,
hi, kids.
Carlos, he called you a motherfucking idiot. Okay, what is your response to that?
Whoa, he didn't say motherfucking idiot. Okay,
well, basically, bro, you saw the tone of his voice. He's like, anyone who says this is an idiot.
But I could say the same thing about anyone who like owns Palantir stock thinking he's going to get a 10x. Like, how much Tesla does this guy have? How much crypto does this guy have? How much real estate does this guy have?
But without getting into that from a personal perspective, because he didn't attack you personally. Obviously, he was saying idiot like
no, but it's fine that he believes that. I think Palantir has done a really good job making investors feel like they're on some sort of philanthropical mission. That investing in the company will inherently it makes you feel good that you're doing something good for the world. Whenever I hear like we're spreading democracy or preserving democracy, like that's a military industrial complex talking point, and it's great if you get sucked into that. But as someone that, like, again, going to Chris's point, like I've lived through this was all 9/11 Patriot Act stuff. Like in the end, it only benefits them. It does not benefit you.
Do you have a response, Vitaly? Did someone calling you an idiot on the internet?
That always happens. But my mother told me I wasn't.
Okay, so is your mom right or is this guy right? Because this guy he said it
Well,
firmly.
we
He was like, "You're an
probably
idiot."
are. Listen, we are idiots. Listen, we're just like dudes on the internet. Like,
Yeah, we're all idiots
so
here.
it's not like
Except we're idiots who bought Tesla early.
the guys who bought the idiots the morons who bought Tesla in 2016, 17,
and
18,
Bitcoin
19.
and Ethereum, invested in real estate. I mean, there's
Yeah.
10 other things we could talk about, but
Yeah.
go ahead, call us idiots.
Yeah.
Okay,
You're idiots with pools, right?
that's
So
true. That's true. I
Did
saw a
you
picture
guys
of the
see,
pool today,
see how
Vitaly,
big
so
that
it's
pool
nice.
was? Did you guys
It was
see?
that's a
big
pretty
pool.
big pool. That's a big pool, man.
I'll share it
Okay,
when it's
so
done. I'll
that was
share
just
it when
all
it's
in fun, but in seriousness, Carlos has a link that I want to pull up real quick. Carlos, can you explain a little bit of this link before I pull it up? And
This was part of when I was researching the last video of Italian I did on Palantir, and I think the
Are we
title
still
of the
talking
video
about
came.
this?
Yeah, you remember that? Remember that link that I sent you where the
This
guy
is
was like,
over.
if AI was if Palantir's AI was any good, it would short itself.
Yeah.
And we're like, sure, let's make it the. let's
okay,
make
so
it the-
what is the argument you like? What's the main thing you kind of want a response for in this?
I just wanted
Can
to. I
you
wanted you to
summarize
read.
this thing?
I wanted you to read. This guy made money on the stock, but this was a message from someone that made money on the stock, who's in the know on Palantir and Palantir stock, and was like, this is a message that I have to current bag holders, meaning you. So I was like, let's see what you would say to this guy.
I mean, so I read a little bit of it. The summary is that Karp basically is too big of a salary. He has too many voting class shares, and as a result of that, he's greedy. He doesn't care about shareholders. He only cares about himself. Is that?
I think you're paraphrasing it in a way that makes it sound nefarious. I think he's making.
Yeah, we got another $10. How much money have we made on this podcast?
Who just gave us $10? Oh,
yeah,
my
we should
goodness.
read that comment. I mean, even if
Thank you, 7CT0JR90TQZ0. Don't be like the dipshit Alex Karp. The guy builds $1 million tech companies, clearly incompetent because he isn't pumping my stock and actually cares about operations. Well, I think it's a shade a little bit of you guys because he's.
That's fine. He gave us $10. He can say all he wants.
Yeah. If you got anything else to say,
dude, you want to shit on me? Just pay me $100 an hour. It's fine.
Okay, so Carlos, I guess we're gonna wrap up in this in like 5 minutes. But what was the main thing of the Reddit post that kind of stood out to you as a like a core argument against Palantir?
well, let me just,
Because the way I read, I mean, the
can
basic
you pull it
argument
up,
of it,
actually? Can you just like pull it up so we have it on the screen?
yeah, and I'm not trying to be nefarious about it. It just seems like they're saying Karp has too much power. That's the problem.
It's not too much power. It's what he's done, and in comparison to Elon Musk, what he's saying here is, look, just scroll up to the top. I'll read some of this thing. Alex Karp shit the bed. There is no denying it and no way to sugarcoat that truth. Anyone who believed in the larger mission of Palantir or the future of AI got burned badly by the clown car of monkeys that are disguised as Palantir executives. Karp had an army of loyal investors, just like Elon Musk and Tesla. That is more than enough for any CEO to patiently build an amazing company and transform the future. Instead of doing that, Karp voted to give himself 100% of revenue as a bonus and dumped that steaming pile of dilution all over retail supporters who were holding the stock. Karp has all the voting rights. Of course, he voted to give all of Palantir growth to himself. No one trusts the executive team at this point. The bag holders won't see stock price appreciation until Palantir leadership resigns or does something drastic. Why should anyone holding the stock long term? Why should anyone hold the stock long term when insiders dump it the first chance they get? The only thing Karp can do now, short of resignation, is show investors that he actually likes the company and the stock by buying a few shares. Karp could make $200 million. Could take $200 million of the $500 million he made through dilution and buy the dip on his own company rather than wait to be issued shares for free. He has all the voting power, so of course he can always just vote himself infinity shares. This is why Palantir executives are a clown car of retarded monkeys when it comes to building the future. If anyone at that company had an ounce of foresight, they would realize that looting the shareholders is a losing strategy long term. Karp may have won round one, but shareholders will not be lured in so easily in future iterations of the bag holder game. If blah 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 blah. Now, you as a shareholder, how would you respond to that guy? Because I agree with what he's saying. I think that it's clear from the strategy that they've taken from inception that their goal is not to make money for the shareholders, but to enrich the executives. And basically, it's a business that will never fail. So I don't see the incentive as a company to continue to grow in a way that benefits shareholders.
That's a post from 2021. So first of all, that's from a year ago. Were insiders cashing out at 2021? Yes, because their lockup period ended. They were there for 18 years. I think if you think
a conversation yesterday about Apple CEO selling shares and selling, and that was like the end of the world. The Apple CEO sell 20% of his shares.
Then you got it. Let me make my points. If Apple COO, as you guys said, can sell 30% of his shares yesterday with no problem, I think some insiders deserve to cash out. because they've been there for 18 years. Number two, Karp is not selling shares for profit. He has not sold shares for profit ever. He has a high salary, but he has only sold shares to pay for taxes. Even in 2021, Chris, you can check me on the SEC filings. He only sold shares to cover the options in December 2021. There were a lot of YouTube videos that had to come out to like explain this, literally going through the filings that I watched because people thought he was just selling shares to sell shares. Second of all, the idea that a bunch of the executives are, quote, monkeys that do not know what they're doing.
I think it was clowns. I don't think it was.
I mean, this is just the guy who, again, is ideological and, you know, he just doesn't care about. I mean, to Elon Musk saying, hey, I'm never going to sell stock, and then selling $40 billion of stock. I get he made you guys a lot of returns, but that seems a little bit more monkeyish to me than anything any of the people in Palantir have done, because you're telling shareholders, hey, we're not going to sell, and then you just sell $40 billion worth of it to buy a company that's overly priced at 2x the valuation. And I'm not saying Elon's bad or anything like that, right? He's done a great job, but to compare both of them and then just say Karp's a monkey for selling for taxes.
So two things really quickly. Number one, they can change the compensation at any time to say, you know what, the stock price is absolutely low right now. We are going to take a hard line and say we're going to give up all of our stock options that we get regularly and instead have a performance-based option plan where if Palantir hits certain KPIs, we will give the executives that compensation. But if it doesn't meet it, they won't get it. There are other CEOs around the country right now in this time of duress that what they did was they changed up the entire compensation. Like look at Anthony Noto. Anthony Noto's compensation right now is based on share price appreciation. You go to Nubank, same thing. They changed it. They said, look, we're not in the business of diluting our shareholders to a point where shareholders are going to be left holding the bag. Every time I keep hearing the same thing. Well, they're just selling to pay taxes. They're selling to pay taxes. What about all the money that they already got from paying taxes? They could just keep the new share awards if they wanted to and use the money that they have to pay
I wish
the
he was
taxes.
buying shares. I wish he was buying shares with his own money.
Yeah.
I can't control that, but to call him a monkey, I think that's a bit disrespectful.
I mean, you know what? When it comes to Reddit, disrespect is just a name of the game. That's just
so that's my point. I'm like, the post is
look
just
at the
kinda
contrary.
stupid.
Look at Innovix. TJ Rogers. is
Listen,
buying
Carlos
shares of
gets
his own
all
company
his
handle.
information from Reddit. Okay.
No, well, hold on. I will say Reddit is probably one of the best sources of information, especially if you get into the right niche of threadings. So like sometimes I will reach out into Reddit to see what some of the people think. And sometimes I'll use Reddit as a validation tool. Like I won't just take everyone's opinion as like the Bible and say, okay, that's definitely what's going to happen. But if I hear someone say something on Reddit, I'm like, okay, let me go verify this independently. And if I find that it's true, then that just lends credibility to what the person is saying. That could be on the bullish side of things, but it could also be on the bearish side of things too. So
Before we continue, can everybody just hit the like button? I think Fuddbucker is there helping us get subs.
There were
Fuddbucker's,
so
like,
many
demanding
comments even
people
before
like
we
that.
got on.
So please hit the like, hit the subscribe. Even though this is a mid channel, you know what? Hit the dislike, hit the unsubscribe.
See if we can ratio a bit on his own
Look,
channel.
eventually, as the pod gets bigger, we'll probably just make our own channel. But right now, we just need to build up some momentum. So we'll get.
That's what he keeps telling us as he collects the checks.
Right,
guys.
as he's
Just
collecting the
FYI.
$10.
Look, I'm saying if you guys want the cash app, let me know. And
This
I'll send it to
motherfucker
you,
has
but
been to Cheesecake Factory at least 6
these
times
guys are
that I
so
know
rich.
of.
He wants to know what a
Carlos, send me the $2.
$500 steak tastes like. You got it in his head.
I was like, Carlos, I'll send you the $2. He's like, no, I'll keep it. I'm like, all right, you're doing well.
You
Come
know,
on,
okay,
guys.
you know what,
It's-
Amit? You know what, Amit? Since you're going to be poor your whole life, and because of probably Palantir and Hodea, I'm going to take you to a nice steak dinner after Enphase doubles. It'll be an easy pay for me. Easy.
Hey, by the way,
Probably by next year, end of year, you're going to get a nice steak dinner.
by the way,
And Chris too.
for sure,
Carlos,
yeah,
of course,
I'll take
of
it.
course. Carlos, by the way,
Yo,
is
Uber-
de facto
Uber Eats
invited.
me.
No, Carlos is de facto invited. It's up to him though to fly himself in. I ain't flying your ass in here.
Believe it, I'll be there at that pool. I'll be there at the pool, and you have a standing
Dude,
invitation, of course, to come. To
I'd
our
rather
pool.
take you
I'll
guys
pick
to
you up in the
Texas.
Tesla. I'll pick you up in the X and the
I'd
Plaid.
rather take you guys to Texas if we could go hunting, man. Hunting it like I'm not.
You
saying
know
like
what?
hunting
I
like
would
the-
try that
yeah.
once.
I
at least.
would.
do
We
you guys
meet in
want
the
to
middle.
kill animals?
Yeah, dude. Boar. They have a wild boar population there that's like running amok. So there's.
Well, we got to
places
eat
you
it.
can go
if we
hunting.
kill it, we got to eat it.
Yeah,
That's my
yeah,
only.
we would, Ken.
Well,
my only rule.
no, they actually offer tours where you can like be in a helicopter. Have you seen
Yeah.
that? You can
Oh,
take
no,
a
I don't wanna do
helicopter
that.
out and you can
That's
shoot
wrong.
like four. No, I mean the thing is, it's a problem, Vitaly. These are like
Yeah.
a pest. These are like killing.
Oh, these are
Yeah.
pests.
They don't.
Okay,
No,
let's-
it's a pest.
let's
Like,
murder them.
they
And
they
the thing
have
is, like, I
they
wouldn't eat them, by the
multiply so
way. I wouldn't. I'd eat
crazy.
venison. Like I had one of my when I was stationed in San Antonio, dude, this one guy, he used to come on base with venison, and he had this like super magical secret rub that he used to put on it. Oh, dude, if you want good barbecue,
Agreed.
Texas, baby, Texas. Oh,
I'm down. I'm down.
Tally, I am up $215 on my end phase. Can I sell it? And
Yes,
take the
you should.
money?
You should definitely sell it. You are one guy who should definitely sell it. Collect your $215 and get the fuck out.
Do not pass go.
Go straight to jail.
So, oh, okay, all right. So
No. I want you to sell it. I want you to sell it tomorrow. Because today, I tell you what I did. I want to get off this Palantir. I sold Apple today, and I had a decent trade. Well, not because of your stupid.
So I
videos.
convinced you yesterday to sell Apple.
No, not at all. It's because Enphase. What did I tell you? As soon as Enphase starts going down, and look, I know it went up a little bit, but still $200 I consider a DCA. I sold Apple 10 grand worth, and that's all I had of Apple. And I'm buying tomorrow morning. I have a buy order set for Enphase, so whatever it ends up being tomorrow morning.
But
and I don't think it's the lowest price it's going to be.
Are you excited to buy it at like 205, 206?
What do you think the lowest is? I mean, I was looking at the charts, Enphase charts. Man, if you ever see anything near 150 again, I don't think we'll ever see it again.
I think if you see 150, you better be ready.
You better back the
pull
truck up.
Yeah, you better
because
back
dude,
that.
if it's
never see
150,
it
I'll
again.
probably buy. If it's 150, I'll probably buy. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, well,
That run
150
from 140 to whatever it was, like, bought me the Tesla, and that happened from what it was like June to September. Now that's outsized. It's not financial advice, but still, like, yo, that was a crazy run.
So let's talk about now the green market. Why is the market running today? A lot of analysts on CNBC think we're starting to get into the better phases of the year. We're paying the S&P to the 430s. Let's start with you, Vitaly. What do you think? Why is the market running?
No, I think the market is a volatile place. We've talked about this numerous times that it's going to be going up and down, left and right. So I don't think we're in a bull market yet. I think we're in a volatile sideways, up and down. And so when I see a good quality company like Enphase trading at a reasonable price, not the best like we want, I think I'm just going to buy it, and I'm not going to wait. Even Google, like, still at 100. What is it? 98? I forgot what it was. Still $100. Still worth DCAing. Amazon still worth DCAing. Like, we have so many quality companies just worth buying into. It's crazy. And I hope this lasts all year, by the way, because there's no way I can have all the cash tomorrow to do everything. You know, my job is helping me pay for all of this stuff right now. So that's
Carlos, your thoughts?
This is same thing. This is just natural chop volatility, just the natural up and downs of it. I do think that we've got a serious, like, rug pull coming. I don't know when it's going to happen. It might be the sell in May go away. Like, we might see a bit of a run up until May, and then once all those guys
people sell off in May. That's a thing.
Yeah, that's a thing.
It's a saying that they say, sell in May, go away. Like, all the institutions with, like, the big boys, they sell out in May. They go to the Hamptons for 3 months, and they don't come back till September. And that's when money usually rotates out of growth into value. Like, you'll see banks and stuff start.
Well, we could also talk about Innovix, because that blew up today. It went up 22% today.
Yeah.
Today? Why is that?
I bought some yesterday. I bought some yesterday, and I bought some today.
Yeah. My last buy was 1,000 shares at $8. Actually, no, I also bought a 10 again. So a couple of thousand shares.
So did I. I saw their new video. I'm telling you, their CEO, Raj Talluri, the guy's a killer, man. Like, you can just, the guy has a lot of pedigree behind what he's trying to do. He's scaling up the business. So I think there's definitely some opportunities in Innovix that people may not necessarily understand. If the technology is proven and all you need after that is just scalability, that's it. I mean, this is the guy who built up Snapdragon. So, you know, and Snapdragon is one of the biggest beneficiaries of that. Yeah.
That's everywhere. Yeah.
Yep. So
Innovix is one of those companies, like, we didn't do daily MVP, but, like, the MVPs for me is the Discord, man. That Discord, was introduced to me on the Discord, and the guys have done a really good job about just laying out the case. And that's one where I was like, you know what? The more I look at this information, I'd be kind of silly not to at least start a position.
Is it a small position for you, Carlos, or do you have some decent?
It's a small position because, again, it's like we're in this, like, part of, like, my portfolio is such that, like, say if I'm all in EVs or clean energy, like, when that whole industry goes down, it's hard for me to justify putting into spec plays when I want more Enphase, when I want more Tesla. So it can only be a small position for me, because typically if that's low, Tesla's going to be low, and I'm going to prefer to buy that.
I just want to point out, today ran up 22%, or whatever it runs up tomorrow. Even if it hits $20, anyone who was not buying it under 10, you should not be chasing it right now. Like, it's just, don't do that. That's like the stupidest thing you can do.
Yeah, it's still a speculative name.
The RSI right now on Innovix is like 80.
Yeah, you don't want to
Yeah.
chase that.
And they made $8,000 last quarter. No joke.
Yeah.
Not a joke. I'm not being serious.
Uh,
I bought more stock than they made.
Chris, do you think a rug pull is coming, or do you think the market's shooting up?
I think there's definitely some. I would say it's not necessarily a rug pull from the market, but some level of breakage from what the Fed does. I think the Fed does I don't know whether, how do I describe it without sounding too negative, but the Fed has a way of doing things either overcorrecting or overdoing things. So something is going to break in the system, which is going to lead to a major crash, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as we saw earlier in the year, like last year. So I think we're definitely going to have our mini corrections coming along. And if the market runs too hot in the short term, I think that it's definitely opportunistic to take off some of the, to buy some puts probably and take off some positions if necessary.
He didn't say sell, take some cream off the top.
He didn't say just buy puts. This guy's never sold a stock in his whole life.
No. You could also sell some calls if you really wanted to. Like,
let me ask you, can you just tell us how many puts do you have right now?
Chris, do you want to describe the little straddle you did today to the audience?
Yeah.
So and hold on. Before we do that,
I don't want to hear what he does with his wife. Tell us how many puts you have.
Vitaly,
he just said straddle, not strap on.
Goodness gracious.
So
hold on. Thank you for the super chat 279. Pop the super chat cherry. I love how you said that. Tips for trading options. We're not going to give tips, but Chris did do a unique trade today around options that he can describe. So I think that what he'll describe will answer this question in a cool way.
Yeah. So you guys know I spoke about SLG. It ran up today. So I was prudent. So I was getting some good bids on the calls. So what I did was, I ended up selling some covered calls on the long side. And at the same time, I used the money to buy some puts on it at $20 put. And on top of it, I sold the 1750 put. So it's a strategy where I ended up coming off with probably like about 20 and 40 cents. And it's not all of my shares of
let me say the exact one so that people know. You sold 33 covered calls on SLG.
Wait, do me a favor. Don't say the exact numbers. I don't want people to know. Yeah.
Okay, so you bought covered calls, you then bought puts.
It was 5 people.
And then you sold cash secured puts at different prices. And so by selling covered calls, buying puts, and then selling cash secured puts, you basically de-risked yourself. What does that mean by you de-risked yourself?
So now,
as long as all the upside, that's what he's talking about.
No. Hold on. First of all, there is a limit to my upside. I didn't lose all the upside. So literally, I'd have to go up to 25 or plus my money in the next month for me to lose more upside. But on top of it, I'm getting the dividends that's going ex-dividend this month right now, right? And on top of it, if it goes down, I'm covered on the downside, because sometimes with these run-ups, you never know when news comes up that's really bad.
That sounds smarter than anything Vitaly has ever said. He's protected either way. So I think it's cool.
That's great. He's protected either way.
And that's the other thing too.
Like a condom that goes both ways. You're constantly protected.
It's a condom in your ass.
You do know that condoms protect both ways, right? It's all right, whatever. Right. But the point is, I didn't do it.
A condom in your ass. That sounds great.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it to everything. I just did it to a portion of my shares, because I just, like I said, that specific trade is something that's highly unusual when things like that come up. So I like I said, I wanted to make sure I protected my downside. So just in case it does go down, I'm okay. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that.
The good thing is I can mute him. That's the cool thing about being here. He said Vitaly do a similar sound with the cowbell makes with your spoon and cup. Hilarious. Yeah, so that's a cool thing that Chris did today, and hopefully it's called a straddle. I've never done it before, but it's limiting the upside and downside based on certain percentages so that you're safer than only having unlimited downside.
It's actually not a bad strategy, by the way, to do a certain portion, just to be serious for a second, a certain portion of your shares. It's fine. That's when I sell the covered calls. It's because I'm okay with losing a certain number of shares, obviously.
Yeah.
If that goes against me, but at least I got paid the premium for that,
Yep.
Okay. China is doing some business. with
Wait,
some
before you go, one of the main reasons why I did it is because I have an outsized position in SLG now, right? Remember, I told you guys it's not just taking a position and putting a put on it. It's if it becomes a bigger portion of your portfolio, which has become a bigger portion of my portfolio over the last week. That's when it's like, okay, I want to make sure I protect this. If it's something that's a small speculative position, it makes no sense in buying puts on it, you know. So,
But it's in the
just
retirement
FYI.
account. So why exactly are you protecting?
No,
it?
I have it in multiple. I have multiple.
Okay.
I have in retirement accounts. I have it in my regular portfolio as well. So the only ones that I hedged were in my retirement, in my regular portfolio, not my retirement.
Chris, do you think you're moving the market at all? It was up
No,
9% today.
Everything was up.
How big is
I'm
the
not
float on this? Because I don't know. People listen to
No,
the
the
pod,
float is
maybe.
61 million. I'm not the guy. No, I'm not moving shit.
He's like,
man.
SEC, it's
we
not
got
me.
a couple of
He knew
hundred
the
people
number,
here,
like the
dude.
exact number too.
Yeah.
It's like 61,749.
He's like, how many people
Yeah.
watch the pod? 200. Nope, 61 million. I can't have any
Yeah.
impact.
No,
Mr.
I do want to say thank you to all our viewers. Like I got messages all day on Twitter saying, "Hey man, you were so right on SLG," and I'm like, dude, I'm right very short term. Like, you know, there could be a time where I'm wrong too, but just, you know, I'm glad you're all enjoying the wins. But the thesis makes sense. So that's the point. There's a lot of great companies right now that are very undervalued, that are worth picking up on in the short term and letting them ride a little bit. So, you know, and it's just like what Vitaly said with Amazon, Google, you know, they're very undervalued for what services they provide and how entrenched they are into the economy. And I think once the economy recovers, they'll recover just as much, if not more, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, if they're hanging on right now, and this is the bad time, I can't imagine when it's the good times again for those companies.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's actually go to this topic, and then we can go to some China stuff, because this might be a little bit more of a juicier topic. Donald Trump has received Twitter and Facebook accounts back. He is now able to post on them. The question becomes, on Truth Social, he is still truthing as much as he wants. I guess here's the question. Do you think he leaves Truth and goes to Twitter and Facebook to get the increased distribution and reach? Or do you think he steers users away from Facebook and Twitter to his apps and other apps to avoid some of the content moderation policies that exist? What do you think kind of happens to the DWAC SPAC and to...
if he was going to sway them, he would have done it already.
So you don't think he's coming back to the social media apps?
No, I think he would. I'm saying I don't think he's going to try to siphon them over to Truth. Whoever wanted to follow him at Truth, it's fine. And besides, it's like his son copies, you know, screenshots and posts everything he posts on Twitter anyway.
Yeah, but his son doesn't have 85 million
back.
followers. His son doesn't have 85 million followers.
Right. No, I do think he'll come back. It's got to be strategic. It might be, you know, who knows what'll happen with this January 6th thing if they actually try to arrest him. But definitely before the election, if he's serious about running again, 100% he's got to be on Twitter and Facebook again. I mean, you can, you know, even me, I talk shit about those platforms, like specifically Facebook, but it's like you need it. It's like the public road. Like you just need that for your distribution. So yeah. I can't say he's not going to be back on.
I think he's pragmatic enough to know that DWAC is nowhere near the reach that Twitter is at the moment, and Twitter is primarily one of the best ways to communicate to the person on the ground. So I think he's definitely going to make his return to Twitter eventually, but right now he's just focusing on other things. And when he does make his return, it'll be like it's going to be just shitting on Joe Biden and the Democrats all day long.
It's going to be DeSantis. No. He's going to be dragging DeSantis. That's what I think it's going to be. It's going to be a 24-hour day. Whoever tries to challenge him for the nomination. But I'm curious why you're asking. Is it like for Twitter's? Is it related to Twitter's valuation?
Yeah, I mean, look, if he gets back on Twitter, the amount of attention that's coming to Twitter, I think it'll 2x in a couple of weeks. And Elon's going to have a pretty good case to break even by Q2 or Q3 of this year. Like if Trump is tweeting every day, every media outlet in the world is like, they're still not covering his truths because Truth is just not that public of a platform. So I think Elon is begging for this to happen. I don't know if it will happen. But if it
didn't Elon say that they would be profitable or break even by Q2?
Yes. I just think the Trump thing solidifies it. Like
sure.
From the advertising perspective and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, you have to cover it at that point.
Let's also touch on this now that Vitaly said he sold Apple, and then we'll get to the China stuff. So how long have you known about these like Apple invites that like try to tell a secret message? You guys know about these things, right?
Yep.
I've seen them since I was little.
The Easter egg.
You don't know, Chris?
Easter eggs in there,
Yeah, like the one for Tesla Investor Day. It ended up it was a side view of all of the Model Y.
Yeah,
Panel.
so WWDC is, I mean, since I was little, they always had little Easter eggs in there. I always thought it was super cool. This is their Easter egg. It came out today for the June WWDC. This is the picture you're looking at. What do you think they're going to announce at that conference based on this picture?
A rainbow.
Probably if I had to just look at it, just plain look at it, I'd say like a monitor, you know, like the Samsung Odyssey that's like more wraparound. You know, maybe that.
Nah,
I know that you're trying to lead me on to say it's a VR headset, but
Right.
I mean, yeah, it seems obvious to me. That's what it would be.
No, that'd be interesting. I'd like to see their VR headset. It's about time Carlos has proven right.
I think it's so funny to me how you really think that that's like a thing that's like so many years out for a company like Apple. You're like, are you? I can't believe that you don't think that it's.
Of course, they're going to
actually
release a headset. What I'm saying, I've always said, is that Meta will not lose because they release a headset. That's not going to happen.
Okay.
Of course, the headset's coming. Who knows when it's coming? It could be coming
Carlos,
tomorrow.
why are you saying it so skeptically? Why don't you?
No, I think the opposite. I think Apple is going to do with like they did with the smartphone market. I think once they come out with that headset, I think when they come out with that headset, I think it's going to, Vitaly seems to think that, okay, you can be number two, right? Like Facebook might become the number two and become the Android.
Yep.
My thinking is Apple's solution to this VR thing is going to be so complete and so different from what even stated goals are of Zuckerberg that it's going to make investors feel like, what was Zuckerberg doing all these years? Why weren't they doing what Apple's doing? And I do think that it's going to be horrible for Meta investors. That's my opinion. And I know Vitaly disagrees, but
Probably
I don't
totally
think it's
wrong
be
because they're going to tie it to the phone somehow or the ecosystem, and then everybody who doesn't have an iPhone is sort of out of luck. So where do they have to go?
No, but that's what they did.
Meta.
Hold on, but that's what they did with the iPhone initially. A lot of the processing was done for the watch on the phone, and then eventually the hardware was miniaturized, and it all worked on the watch. So
I actually bought the phone, by the way. It still works better. You need an iPhone to do anything with the actual watch, to set it up and everything. You need an actual iPhone.
That's true.
Okay.
You can't do this any other way. So they are tying a whole ecosystem.
So you think the barrier of entry of needing or maybe needing an iPhone you're not going to need an iPhone to set up the software.
My point is they built an ecosystem. I think they're going to try to incorporate
you are not going
into the
to
ecosystem,
listen,
which is fine. That you could win. They could totally get the majority of monetization. I'm not arguing with that. But Meta's going to win everybody else, which is a lot of people.
I think anyone that Meta was going to win, they've already won them. Where is this?
No,
that's
not true. This is
you don't even use VR every day. You don't even use it every day.
I work.
When's the last time you put your goggles on, right?
Actually, 2 days ago. 2 days ago. 2 days ago.
What were you doing? What were you doing 2 days ago?
He was masturbating, of
Oh,
course.
Well, VR masturbating is a thing. You know?
I mean, come on, you know Vitaly. What do you even have to ask that?
Well, first of all, I don't know if you're in my house, but Smash Drums. I do like. It's a game, by the way. Smash Drums. If people haven't played it,
I thought that was a porno for a second. I was like, Smash
Drums.
Yeah.
It's like, come here, baby.
It's like
Smash Boom.
Beat Saber, Beat Saber for drums, right? Beat Saber for drumming.
It's like
is that like Guitar Hero? Is that like Guitar Hero?
And by the way, just FYI, my kids, I think it was a couple of days ago or the weekend, they took it themselves when his friend came over. My kid's friend came over. They went and got the VR, which is right behind me somewhere. They got it and went to play themselves without me even telling them. That means kids like it too, besides adults like me.
Yeah, there's a big fad of like, remember when we were kids, we had like those yo-yos and everything else. It was the same thing, like
calling it a yo-yo.
No. The reason why I'm saying is
Chris has those really high level 50 mage.
I'm saying you remember like every year there would be a fad where everyone would jump on the bandwagon towards something.
Like those weird spinners?
Yeah. That he still
back.
does in 20-something. But the same thing was happening where people, like the kids, were going up to their parents saying, I want an Oculus. I want an Oculus. There was a kid who shot his grandmother because he didn't get like an Oculus or something. You guys
wait,
like,
what?
Did you see that?
I know.
Yeah, there was.
It gets crazy, man. Who cares about that?
Yeah, there was. No, I'm just saying there was like, that is the level of love and the kids, like demand that the kids had for Oculus.
But he shot his grandma, like killed her?
Because he wouldn't get him a Oculus, or his mom. I don't know, either one of those two. Yeah, bro. I'll bring up the story.
Well, there's some good comments. One I think I saw about
his kids watch
PS5 VR over Oculus, and that could be true.
The PS5 VR is actually pretty damn good. It feels more like what Apple would do. It feels very approachable.
Okay, so it's
very
done.
approachable.
Okay, so
what?
So somebody else did it already. Okay. That's never going to succeed, by the way. The PS5 VR, great, absolutely great. You need a PS5, which is $500. So now you need to be in someone else's ecosystem. It's not a generic device you put on your head, all wireless. You're tethered to another console. This
But
is
these
the
are the
problem.
same people that
Meta
right,
is
but these are the
going
same
after
people-
no
right.
console, no
Hold on, but
tethering
when
to
you buy
anything. Anyone can have it.
console, hold on, but when you buy a console, you still need to pay 50, $60 for a game or have a subscription. So there is that if you're a gamer, that is where a lot of your disposable money goes into.
You're missing
So
the
buying a
point.
headset is
I'm
not-
saying
not-
if you're into
not a
VR, now
barrier.
you need a PS5. So you have to get the PS5. You can't have an Xbox and buy the PS5 VR.
Mhm.
That's the problem. So what Meta's doing is actually very smart. They're making it so, hey, you want to connect to your PC?
People at
Go
Meta
ahead.
don't
Do it.
even like the metaverse. How many articles are you going to ignore?
Hold on.
about
To
people
Carlos's
coming-
point.
So
To Carlos's
ridiculous.
They
point.
don't like it. It took them forever to get.
You're talking about
legs,
Horizon
bro. Like,
Worlds.
they don't
I know
have
what you're
the
talking
tech.
about. You're talking about Horizon Worlds. No one's talking
Yeah.
about the actual VR chat, Smash
Vitaly,
Drums,
Vitaly, real
Pro
quick.
Golf. You're missing a whole world out there.
Vitaly, Disney cut their metaverse division yesterday. They cut about 7,000 employees. That doesn't seem good for Zuck's metaverse when one of the biggest companies in the world is stopping
Nobody's
metaverse
using it, man.
operations. So what are
I
your
don't know.
thoughts?
I
on
don't know
that?
why that's not good. I consider that.
Well, because Meta would want Disney as a client on their
Yeah.
products, and Disney's like, we're not making the metaverse anymore. It's not a thing in their company. They don't have a division anymore. It's done.
And Disney does own a lot of content.
They
you know,
own the
so-
best IP. So
well, also
why
Microsoft
this
is
good
joining
for Zuck?
partnership. Microsoft is partnering with Meta for a reason too, and I don't know why they're doing that first of all, but they're partnering with Meta in their VR. So there's going to be winners and losers. That's all I'm saying. So someone has to be there to get ready to win. Do you understand that part? Someone actually has to be there. Meta is building up the thing that when it's ready, it's not ready yet. This is probably like the 10-year plan here. They will be there.
Your big problem with Alex Karp was that he's not an operator. I
Oh
think
God, we're
Bob.
going back to him.
Oh no! Just real quick.
God.
I think Bob Iger is one of the best operators of all time. I think so. You can't say shit about Bob Iger.
Well, the
You can say
last
whatever
10
you want
years of
about
Bob
Alex Karp.
Iger's, the last
Why
10
is
years sucked
Iger,
of Bob Iger.
who came back, restructuring Disney to cut the metaverse? If your argument is
Because
the
his
metaverse,
stock
some of
fell
those
to
key
under
points? Can you read
$100
some of that?
again.
Just so, can you read some of that just to get a little bit of the backstory?
yeah. So Disney has cut its metaverse division as part of layoffs. The division was led by Mike White, who was previously in charge of Disney's consumer experiences. All 50 of the employees under White were let go, but White remains at the company. Disney, like most companies in 2021, hopped on the metaverse hype train. Again, hype train. And now Bob Iger is back. 7,000 employees will be cut, 50 of them in the metaverse division. Disney said last month it plans to cut $5.5 billion in costs. So when they're trying to save money, why is the future that you say, Vitaly, is going to happen, which is the metaverse, the first thing that's being cut to save money?
Well, hold on. Before Vitaly answers, dude, 50 people in a multi-billion-dollar
No, but
company,
the
that's
metaverse
nothing.
division is gone. That's the point.
But that's
of that.
nothing. That means that they didn't really have a big investment in the metaverse in the first place.
But that
right?
means they were hyping it up in 2021, saying, "We're gonna have Mickey Mouse in the."
I don't think they were
metaverse."
hyping it up. I think that they were exploring the idea, which a lot of companies are doing right now. Like everyone had plans to do things in the whenever a new trend comes, you're dumb if you're not at least investigating it to a certain degree. This seems like Disney was exploring the option and then chose that.
Well,
this
why are they
wasn't
not
the way to
exploring
go
it? That's my
yet.
point,
Dude,
Why
right
is it
now is a
because-
bad time
yeah.
for Disney. Have you been not paying
Yeah.
attention on your stock
Yeah.
channel about how bad
But
it
if
is
it's
for
only-
Disney right now?
All right.
First of all, Disney's in a tough place. They're trading 94 times price to free cash flow. They're in a bad spot, but
That's what I'm saying.
you have
They
to
can't afford
innovate.
the
You have
metaverse.
you have to innovate in order to survive. And if the
No.
metaverse is your future,
They need to
Vitaly,
make. Okay, Disney's a bad example, honestly, but they need to make Disney Plus profitable before they care anything about the metaverse. Okay, you're missing the point here completely. All right, Microsoft, which is super profitable, is going into the metaverse through Zucks. Okay, so that's a different strategy that's going on because Satya Nadella wants to be everywhere. He has a much better strategy. So whatever, you can see it as a negative. I see it as you need to build the technology. Someone has to have it there. And you guys we're all old, by the way. Even you admit. My kids, when we're playing like GT5, like they see this world, they're immersed.
you
I'm
let
not
your
talking about
kids
VR
play
for a
that.
second.
You let your kids play that.
They're watching me play, but whatever. A lot of cursing going on, but they're watching me play that, and they're like, "Wow, this is so real. This is so cool. Like, I can't wait for this to happen." This dude is just talking nonstop. I'm like, "Dude, shut up. I'm trying to listen to the story here." Okay, but the point is, they're so immersed in it. As soon as they will get a real world, as opposed to like this bullshit VR world that we have right now, because it doesn't look real. You know what I mean? As soon as that happens, I'm going to lose them. Every kid is going to be gone. That's going to take 10 years to play out. Meta's the one who's going to probably take a lot of this portion of, and maybe Apple, who knows. But Microsoft seems to acquiesce to Meta, And I'm not sure what Google's doing because their product is not successful yet. I don't know if you heard of their product. They have a very expensive VR solution. So Meta's literally the only one who's the most affordable mass market VR solution for everybody. So that's going to be the Android of the next 10 years. That's what I think.
Yeah, but Meta's actually, people don't see Meta as a product company. Remember they tried to Portal, they tried to make their own phone. They've never been able to successfully create a product. There's people that don't have confidence in them in hardware. So where is it? Where is the growth for them if they've already got this base of whatever 20 million Oculuses out there? Where's the base? Where are they going to grow into? You think that someone who has an iPhone is going to buy the
Yes.
the Oculus
I
over the
have
Apple
6
VR?
iPhones.
Over the Apple?
Because there's not an Apple
over
version
the
yet.
Apple one?
Yeah.
I would. I have 6
With
iPhones.
Apple's App Store, porting over several of the apps having a VR version of it.
Right now,
the integration with the OS, the integration with their own Apple apps.
It's funny how black and white you are.
Edit in VR.
It's funny how black and white you are. Considering I have an iPhone, I also have an Xbox, I have a PlayStation.
Apple's option isn't available to you yet.
Hold on, I have a Steam Deck. I have I got a Nintendo. I got a Nintendo Switch. I got a Nintendo 64.
Once the Apple's VR headset is available to you, if you didn't have any and you only had the $500 to spend, which one do you think you would buy?
Well, there's one other thing that I hope everyone knows. Apple is not infallible because they've had products that haven't necessarily done that well either. Like Apple
iterations to get the watch anywhere. They didn't nail it right.
I think you think once again that it's a small market. I think what Apple did with the iPhone is that they blew up the whole market. Where before I did not want a phone or a smartphone before Apple came along, then everybody wanted one. Of course, not everybody got one. They got an Android as well. They got a Samsung. They got whatever they got.
Pixel.
Right? Whatever happens. So I think you're missing that aspect of it. Right now, there's 10, 20 million headsets going around. Eventually, there's like 7 billion people here. There's plenty of market for Apple and Microsoft and Google and Meta, of course. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Vitaly. I think what we're seeing right now is the first iteration of many of things to come. Facebook, Oculus, whatever you want to call it, has a lead in it. They were in risk of squandering that lead because they had literally invested so much into it that they ended up getting bureaucratic bloat. Like there was a whole article around their CTO trying to get anything done, and it was literally going through managers of managers of managers, and that was Facebook's problem, that they ended up creating huge bureaucratic beast that wouldn't let them actually innovate. And so I think that they did a lot of course correcting. They lightened the load and got back into startup mode. So that should be a good move on their part. And on top of it, they've also been buying a ton of content studios that specifically deal with the metaverse and like it plays around that. And now if you layer on top AI, which a lot of people don't necessarily know about Meta's AI, but Meta has a lot of AI components to their business. And they also have a lot of AI engineers that work for them. They actually develop Tensor PyTorch.
I'm glad,
which is like,
I'm glad you brought this up because I don't think Carlos understands how strong they are in AI, and Apple sucks.
They were the top consumer.
Wait, Apple doesn't suck in AI.
I do understand. Listen, I do understand.
How do you think they're making these chips?
I think you've got confirmation bias with metaverse thing. I really think that you are seeing something that is not there. No one gives a shit about the metaverse. The Facebook version of it, no one gives a shit. Even the employees don't like it, don't use it. The Horizon Worlds guy left. Like they've got a lot of issues, and I think you're sounding a little bit like these guys that we heard about talking about FUV, about how
I sound like the guy like Palantir,
the Deliberator, all the stuff. Like the demand wasn't there.
Bro, he just said you're as irrelevant as this Joker card. That's exactly what he said.
Look at him.
He said you are irrelevant. He said you are seeing something that doesn't exist.
No, I just think isn't that all of us? I see that something is going to happen with the metaverse with Mark Zuckerberg. By the way, he's going to make me money anyway. I'm actually close, almost there at break even. Not even having anything to do with metaverse. Metaverse is failing right now. So I agree with you there. In 10 years, if I'm right, this is a multi-trillion-dollar company just because of ads, as Amit said before. And forget about the ads part. If that happens, I've made a 4 or 5x. And then if the metaverse happens, I made another 4 or 5x. So I don't see any loss for me because I'm backed up by the Zuck truck, which has all this money for advertising. So there's no loss for me. Even when I'm going to be wrong in the metaverse, I'm going to be right on Zuck. That's what the main point here.
I wouldn't
And
doubt Zuck. I wouldn't.
I would not doubt
man.
Zuck. You are such a hater of Zuck. While you
It's
use
not-
all
no,
his
it's-
products,
it's
you
not
use
a-
WhatsApp, you send me Instagram links. You're like, I fucking hate this, but you send me every day an Instagram link, dude. So like, you gotta wake up. You are part of the Zuck system, just like I am.
Of course I am. But what I'm saying is, Facebook has done a really good job copying, right? That's what they do. They copied and basically put Snapchat out of business. They're really good at copying it, but I don't think they're going to be able to.
What is wrong with
copy their way
copying and winning?
to
I don't
ultimate
understand. This
success.
is
I
America.
don't
We're
think so.
allowed to copy and win.
Sure,
And don't
sure.
forget about the TikTok ban that could be coming anytime now.
Jesus
'cause
Christ.
you can see it.
There are so
Yeah.
many bullish things happening, and you're so blind because you just fucking hate
No,
that guy.
no,
it's
not.
crazy.
It's not.
Hold on, can we
it's
give
not-
Carlos an opportunity? Carlos, can you lay out why
You're right,
you don't
you're
like
right, you're
Meta
right.
so much?
It's not that I don't. I mean, look, I don't personally like Mark Zuckerberg as a
Why?
CEO.
Why?
Well, because we all know a lot of the we want to say the moral issues with Facebook and how they've used their leverage and power over the years, and the damage that Mark Zuckerberg's companies have done to America, both on the privacy side as well as like the addiction to social media. Okay, but I also see, like, as a business model, even in my own anecdotal experience, that the average Facebook is becoming less relevant as a social media platform. It's becoming more like a utility. And I'm not excited about AT&T stock, right? It's becoming more like that. And I don't see them continuing to grow their way, to grow their user base, or grow Facebook as a platform. Yes, they bought Instagram and they bought WhatsApp, but I don't think that you can buy and acquire and copy your way to the valuations that Vitaly thinks he's going to be getting.
Oh my God.
Dude, any other
get into the fiber
weird.
connection.
utility company?
I think that
wish they
Facebook
had. Yeah.
I think it's like the conversation we had about Netflix. Like, there's a point when they've grown to the point that they're going to grow, and at that point they're a value stock that should just pay a really nice dividend, and then I think it's got a place.
Do you think Facebook should pay a dividend?
I would probably buy it if it did.
No.
Oh, now all of a sudden he's buying it. Fuck.
For a dividend, sure. For a dividend, sure.
Dude, you wish Meta. People would wish they had margins like Meta. Like, if you look at Meta's margins, they are like out of this world. And on top of it, once you layer on all these layoffs that are happening, you're gonna see multi-billion-dollar quarters of like earnings happening.
I know.
like-
This motherfucker prints money, and it's like you hate money,
Okay.
Carlos.
Then why is that CEO?
You and Amit hate
then
money.
why if he's printing so much money, why is he making such an outsized bet in this metaverse?
Because look, he
Why?
sees there's a
Why
problem.
disturb the train?
Apple.
Why upset shareholders so much?
Apple.
Why?
No, I agree with you. It's
Right,
Apple.
it's because Apple basically's got him by the balls. If Apple
Yes.
makes one change in their terms of service, it fucks this gravy train that you guys think. This is the sword of Damascus hanging over their head, and you're putting 40% of your portfolio.
Oh shit, he brought
in
it
that
up.
He's
freaking
using
company.
Chris's words. Oh,
Get out of here,
By the
man.
way, 40.
That's
It's not 40.
ridiculous.
You know, it's not 40%. How
I'm
can
just
I have
saying.
40% Tesla and Enphase and then 40%?
There's
There's a little bit of math that has to go on here, first of all. Okay.
There's no math on here. It's too
I
late.
can't have 40% Enphase, 40% Tesla, 40% Meta. That's just not how it works, by the way. I have a very small Meta position compared to my
Right.
portfolio now.
But you're
But
so
I-
rich that your Meta position is like 700.
It's like 40%.
No, it's not.
I'm just
it's
saying
not
in general.
$700,000.
I would be nervous. I would be nervous.
Okay, we're gonna move on. To
Actually, the
questions.
one stock I am not nervous about is Zuckerberg making me money. I have at least a double without even thinking about it. Honestly, like not even thinking about it.
Right.
I think Vitaly's right, by the way. I think Vitaly's right. Facebook has 2 billion daily active users. They announced it 3 weeks ago.
It's
2
crazy.
billion DAUs.
Yeah,
on
look, I'm not doubting that, and I'm not
Not
saying that you
Instagram,
don't have.
Facebook.
I'm not saying you don't have a double from there. Just like if Palantir goes to $2, you've got a double, a triple easily from there. It's like, but just having those multiples doesn't mean that it's like you really want to park your money there for the next 10
It goes to
years.
$2,
You know?
man.
But if it doubles, it's above $1 trillion. I mean, that's a big
Meta
deal.
has
Okay,
Meta has
we get there.
some more monetization than a lot of people are thinking with just the platforms. They haven't even started tapping into their WhatsApp monetization in other countries. That's also going to be a big driver for them. I think,
That's what
like
I'm
I said,
mostly curious about. Actually,
yeah,
is how they
I
really
think-
monetize WhatsApp.
yeah, that's one of the really great things about Meta and how they've been able to capture it. Like, if you think about, even Elon has said this too, like he was appalled by the level of monetization Twitter was missing out on, whereas Facebook's monetization was so much higher because of the way that they did things behind the scenes. So that's like the thing that really drives Meta forward, in that they're able to do this very successfully and be able to generate a ton of revenue behind it. The other thing is it's also highly scalable. Like they are masters at scaling all over the world. I mean, it's so There are definitely weaknesses in Meta itself, like in terms of like being a little bit overly committed towards the metaverse. I think that they should have had a more slower approach to it, but they missed out on the phone market, and so because of that, it's always lingering in the back of Zuck's head, just like you said, Carlos. It's like the sword of Damocles holding, right above his head the entire time, saying, "Look, if at any point Apple turns around and wants to mess up my business, they can, or they can use that to extract money out of me." Like, I expect Apple this year, when they renegotiate the default browser in the phone, to literally rape Google, saying, "Look, you either have a choice. You either double up what we're getting." Because right now, I don't know if you guys know, I think Apple gets like 25 billion a year from Google just to be the default browser on iPhones. Right, because that's the power that Apple has to extract you. Now that Bing is starting to try to get market share, you don't think Satya Nadella is going to be offering up money? Yeah, he's definitely going to be extracting as much money as possible. That's one of the bull cases of Apple, by the way, that now that they are so entrenched into the phone market, they can extract heavy tolls on anyone trying to create products on their platform.
And that is definitely the monopoly that should be broken up. Apple, absolutely, 100%. I can't even argue about Google. Google
the hardware
probably
software, too. The hardware software monopoly?
Well, no, the fact that you brought up a good point, in a bad point about Zuck, because the advertising thing that they're doing it to everybody. It's not just Zuckerberg. If you look at Snapchat, they totally destroyed Snapchat this last couple of years.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're destroying every ad platform, and the only one left standing will unfortunately be Meta. Like, literally, they're killing everybody else. You have to understand. TikTok is going to go away. Snapchat might be dead. You're going to have literally Zuck to pay for the next decade because Apple has killed everybody else. So there's some sort of weird thing going on where Apple is helping Zuck becoming a monopoly in advertising. Do you see what I'm saying with what's happening? Because he's killing all the other little players. This is not good. I don't actually agree that this should happen. Apple should be sort of like shamed.
Yeah, and Apple now just started with buy now, pay later also. So now you're going to be able to extract that away from the Afterpays and the other Squares of the world. It's like I said, Apple is this giant Borg of a machine, and they're very well run Borg. If there is one company you want to invest in, it's Apple when it comes to that.
Well, can you put up that comment, Timmy Popwell? Yeah. Well, why should Meta be broken up?
Meta should be broken up before Apple. Yeah, I would argue Apple should probably be broken up. I don't think we should break up any, but if there was
ridiculous.
one, it probably is Apple.
No, but that's a ridiculous statement.
Necessarily break up either.
I don't agree. Real conflict. If you had to pick between one, I think Apple. All right, we're gonna do questions. Last 10 minutes, we got questions. Let's start with this one. I think this is a great question. Again, try to spend a minute 30 seconds on each. What CEO would you have as POTUS? This is a great question. What CEO would you want as president of the United States of America? Anyone have a raw question answer that comes straight to head?
Yeah, I'll take TJ Rogers for the win.
That's actually really good. TJ Rogers, really good center. I mean, I think
an
Elon
engineer.
Musk is an obvious choice, but yeah.
No, Elon Musk is a little bit too wild. TJ Rogers, engineer, super smart guy, runs multiple businesses that are billion-dollar businesses, and is very level-headed. Does not go crazy about anything. He's the only CEO that I know that I would vote for. Okay,
Chris?
I'd vote for Michael Bloomberg. I think Bloomberg did an amazing job in the city after 9/11. Giuliani was, of course, there, but Bloomberg really brought the city back to what it was. He brought a lot of businesses there. I think we're dealing with an existential crisis with China, and right now we need to build alliances, not create animosities around it. And the one good thing about Bloomberg is that he ran as a Republican originally, like the first two terms. The third term, he was an independent, but he's a very moderate Republican and a very moderate Democrat in that he's very pragmatic with a lot of his ways of thinking and doing things. So I think Bloomberg would possibly be a good president if given the opportunity.
He wouldn't be a bad president. Let me put it.
Or Jamie, right, you know what? And Jamie Dimon. I'm sorry, I forgot. I was
going to say that. I was going to steal that answer. I was going to steal it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, what do you guys think of Kathy Wood?
What the fuck did you just say?
I'm serious. That's a question. What do you think? A female, right? Who's also got a.
My reaction had nothing to do with her being a woman. It's just you said Kathy Wood.
We just watched the
I've seen stock price go from 160 to 20.
I think Amit is against women, guys. Let me just put that out there.
I think. All right. I think we got to clip this and put it on make a shorts out of it.
Dude, hell no.
I think Kathy she would flip-flop out of it. She would be like, for the next 4 years, we're going to focus on this. And then 2 weeks later, she's like, we're focusing on something else. That's
and she'd be asking Jesus for help. Like,
Where do you get
Jesus,
this from?
we've got all this
Oh,
debt.
right.
What
She's
should I
a
do?
zealot, right? She's a
And
zealot
she-
of some sort.
Yeah, and then she would take the entire national budget and put it in Tesla or put it in some other company.
Yeah,
She was
like,
nuts.
guys, it's gonna be disruptive for $4 trillion.
The thing for president,
America
you
would
need a level-headed person who's actually intelligent. Kathy Wood is intelligent, but I don't know if she's level-headed sometimes.
Okay,
So,
I have an answer that's probably better than all of yours.
If you say,
No, I'm not
Carp,
saying it, I'm not
bro,
saying it, I'm not
coming
saying
to
it,
your
I'm not
house
saying it.
right now.
You please don't say Alex Karp. Don't say
I
Alex
was not gonna
Karp.
say Alex Karp. I think Anthony Noto is the best choice. Absolutely the best choice. I think he would be a rock.
he could barely run a shitty bank.
Yeah. No, you like SoFi. You're bearish on SoFi, and you have SoFi.
I know. I actually like SoFi, but I'm saying that's still a tiny little company. Come on.
Okay,
Come on.
question. How much growth can Enphase business model expect if jobless claims accelerate to recession levels? So unemployment rate goes up. How will Enphase generate business? This is for you guys.
Well, I mean, the people who are getting solar are not exactly poor. So I don't know if this
And
affects.
also the incentives are such where you really don't pay much out of pocket if you can really make the
Actually
case,
zero.
especially with the
In New
IRA.
Jersey, it's zero, basically.
Right. So it's not really all that affected. Like, how much were the financial aspect of getting solar wasn't really a consideration on my end because I didn't pay anything.
Well, I did have to go get a loan when I did it, but I always knew that I would pay off that loan. I wasn't scared of it. And
Right.
also just the cost, the way that has worked out with inflation and everything,
Mhm.
even the loan I originally got at 6.5% still beats having the solar as opposed to paying for the electric myself.
That's what I was gonna say. It leveled out your bill. Like in the
Well,
summer, I
it
wasn't getting these
killed my bill.
$1,500
It killed
bills
my bill. It totally destroyed the bill. My costs. We're gonna have an episode on this, by the way, in Freelancer Finance. But my costs have tremendously dropped going all electric. Tremendously. I mean, thousands and thousands of dollars less I pay.
So you're saying
For
it's going to
energy, for
scale
energy.
regardless of unemployment rates. You're saying that doesn't have an impact on.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Look, I'm sure it does because people weigh it into their consideration. But I think the people who are already planning to get solar, this is not like a decision you make spur of the moment. You've been thinking about something like this for a long time. Like before I got solar, I was thinking about it for like 3 years. Okay. And then I started convincing my buddies like Carlos, and we also have another buddy we convinced. So it takes time. That took time to happen. So I think the people who are trying to get it don't want to run away from it. They might postpone them a year, but they're coming right back into it. It's just a delayed thing. It's not a gone thing. Does that make sense?
The
Yeah.
other
The
part of it
total
though is if you run the numbers, if you're doing really well, then you consider solar because you want to you want to invest in that technology. If you're not doing well, solar is actually a way of saving you some money. Say you don't come out of pocket. It's a way of leveling your bill so you don't get any surprises. So either way, it kind of saves you money, whether you have extra money or you're trying to save money. It just makes sense. And think about it. Now you just have much more people talking about EVs in general and electricity in general. At the time we were doing it, it was like 2018, 2019. It was so niche. There wasn't a lot of information out there now.
And the
But
total addressable market is what? The entire world.
Exactly.
Right?
But to add to Carlos' point, it was 3%. Right now it's 3-4% total solar penetration.
On
Total.
planet Earth, you're saying the
So-
planet?
Well, I think that's the planet. 3-4% is what I keep hearing. That's
It's
total
not 3-4%.
penetration.
No. That's solar in general, but I don't think it's even remotely 0.3% of like actual home grid, which is what they're trying to disrupt, right? Because remember, this is not only disrupting utility scale solar, this is disrupting literally like residential.
Okay.
If you're thinking of like
If you're saying
Africa,
something
India,
better even, but let's say
Yeah,
I'm saying give a bear case scenario, meaning it's already penetrated 4%. The people who are deciding to double that penetration to 8%, I don't think they're being affected. If they're going to go do it, they're going to do it anyway. That's my point. That it's not 96 penetration right now, right? 96%. So if it was 96%, I would say Gabe is right. We're probably screwed. Solar's going down, but we're at 3%. I mean, like,
my biggest concern with Enphase is that it's still a expensive product in terms of trying to get it. I mean, how do I say this without sounding too negative, but at the same time, okay. So Enphase right now is still an expensive value proposition for homeowners to put on their roof and everything else. It's getting better though. The price of solar comes down. The panels themselves come down all the time, which means that it's more affordable. My only concern in the short term is the credit, right? Because a lot of people, when they buy these solar roofs, they're making an investment into this purchase, and they're not exactly paying out of pocket to put them up. A lot of people are financing it. So if the cost of financing are higher, then that may actually stop a lot of people from buying it right now, which they say, you know what, I do want to go solar, but I don't want to pay 9% or 10% on a personal loan to put solar on top, because at the end of the day, they're not getting a 1, 2, 3% interest rate anymore. You're paying 8, 9, 10, 12 even percent to get a solar roof right now as an interest rate. So that may detract some people also. So just FYI.
Right. So I agree with you. But what happens? Interest rates start coming down in a year or two. I think right away that we have basically a boom for anything like that, like clean energy, solar, wind.
Okay, let's move on to this question. What is your opinion of universal basic income? Communism, the future. 30-second answers, not too long.
It's the future. It's the future. It's the only way forward. As AI starts to remove jobs from people and like robots start to take over, you know, isn't trucking like the most isn't it still like the #1 job for high school educated men that don't go to college? Like what do they do? What do? They're going to need UBI. And someone else commented that UBI is going to be a driver of inflation. And I think that that's true as well. That's another thing that's going to help drive our asset prices up. But still.
Vitaly, communism or future?
Universal basic income is going to happen at some point. I'm not sure when. And I don't think it's communism. I think it's just going to be necessary. It's going to be something that you need to do.
Okay, Chris?
I don't think it ever really happens, only because as old industries die, new ones are created, and there's always a need for people. Like right now, everyone's, and I've heard this so many times, like this technology came out, everyone's just going to shift to AI and all this other stuff. But right now, look at the job market. You can barely find people to do any real work. So I think the opportunities for people to work will always be there in some form of another. Not everything is going to be placed by robots and AI, even though it seems like that's a possibility.
Like retail and manufacturing, you can get rid of a lot of jobs.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean,
and that's a
like
lot
I said,
of jobs.
I think that is a possibility, but that'll be much, much further into future. By then, we might even be exploring space. We might be exploring. We have a dropping birth rate. That's the other thing too. Like think about it this way: in the Western world right now, most countries have a negative birth rate.
That is true.
Where there's more people dying, and we're like
Japan.
Japan is aging out. Like their average age is, I think, in the 50s or 60s right now. Same thing's happening to China.
China over the next 10 years,
but that's why there's a big
inverted.
Yeah.
Well, there's a big push for robots in a place like Japan. So
yeah,
that is going to take some form of income away from people, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, I also agree that you brought up a good point, Chris, about space. Space is going to be huge once you get like hotels and you get people commuting back and forth to space. If they can ever get a space elevator going, like once that becomes easy to get in and out of space.
Let me ask you this question: if we have commercial space in our lifetimes, are you actually getting into Elon's rockets and going into the hotel on the moon?
Yes, I'm going.
I'm not doing that.
Oh, you're saying would I, or like is that?
Would you do it
before I die?
You could afford it, all that stuff. Would you do it?
I would.
I'm not doing that shit.
Dude, it's relative. Like my grandfather, the first time when planes came around, it was like a big deal. Like, oh my God, there's like the thing that you can get on and it takes you all over the world. Like it was just a thing that was unimaginable.
Yeah, but Chris, you're going to be the guinea pig for that. Your grandfather was scared of it because he was the guinea pig for planes. You will absolutely be the guinea pig for a rocket ship.
But look where we've come in just
no one's been up to space outside of Jeff Bezos and some astronauts and Elon. I mean, Elon hasn't even done it.
It's becoming much more of a possibility now than ever before. I think space is an exponential growth curve, and that's actually an area that's worth investing in also. Like I know when SpaceX IPOs, I'm definitely going to be a buyer, because if you think the world is a TAM, the universe is the TAM for
what's the TAM of that?
Total addressable market.
What if it's 500 billion? Chris, what if it's 500 billion?
What the valuation?
What if it's a trillion? What if it's $1 trillion valuation when it comes out?
I don't know, dude. I mean, dude, it's the fucking entire planet. This could be more.
just buy a couple of shares.
This could be Warhammer, man.
He's gonna buy it.
Okay, I think this is one of the last ones. Thoughts on Open Door? Open Door now at an all-time low at like $1 something. What do you guys think about Open Door?
They have a fundamentally business broken model. I've been saying that forever. They're probably going to die out sooner rather than later. Prices of how homes are starting to become more rationalized and come down. They're holding a lot of inventory. I don't know if they've actually cleared up a lot of that inventory, but they had to take a lot of losses. Insiders are selling like crazy. So yeah, they're done. It's just the inevitable at this point.
I think if Zillow could have survived doing this business, they probably had a better chance of doing it, meaning because they have a whole advertising business that's working. So if they can't do it, I don't know how Open Door is going to do it. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm not buying it.
Carlos, any thoughts on that?
Well, same deal. I mean, Zillow kind of tried this, and it got really hard. I think it was much more involved than they thought. It seemed so simple on paper, but in practice, it's a lot of assets that can tank on you and hurt you really, really fast.
You know, the problem is because like I obviously deal with property. I have investment property. The problem is there's contractors for every little state, there's rules for every little thing that happens. So Open Door goes and buys some place that they're opening into a market, but then they can't just get any contractor they want. Maybe their contractor is busy. Maybe they have to go get another one, get another quote, and do all these things. So then costs start building up. You find something in the house that is wrong that you weren't expecting. So houses are weird because you can open up that wall and you got rats.
But
if
you have the house hack algorithm, then you can hack the house.
Yes. If you invested with Meet Kevin, though, you are safe.
I love Meet Kevin, by the way. All right, this is the actual last one. This is a Jeremy stock. He's big into this. He thinks it's a big value play right now. What do you think about PayPal?
I think there's a lot of competitors in the space. I use PayPal.
It's down like 70%. Is there any attraction to this company right now?
I use PayPal, but there just seems to be a lot of competition. And the more competition jumps in the space, the more likely it is that they won't. Like right now, when PayPal first started and they were really growing, there wasn't very many options. Now you've got Zelle, you've got Cash App, you've got all sorts of other things like Google Pay, Apple Pay. So at this point, the whatever moat that they had in the past is starting to slowly diminish, and now because of that diminishing returns, I'm not sure it's that big of a play. But then again, there is probably a value at which PayPal makes sense, but I don't know.
I'll answer. I actually do believe in PayPal, but with these other companies, I actually own a lot of shares of PayPal. But with these other companies that are down, I mean, there's no point to buy PayPal. There's just better quality companies out right now that are way lower in all metrics than PayPal. And PayPal's not even growing. I think this year, what is it, 15%, 10%? It's low double digits.
Okay. I think, Carlos, if you don't have any thoughts, this is the last question.
No, you already had a final one.
This is really quick. Would you rather have 1 million in cash or 1 million followers? Super quick.
That's a dumb
Really? You think it's so? Which I think I already know which one you're going to pick.
I'm taking $1 million because I could buy two houses.
$1 million.
I could buy 2 houses and forever get paid a dividend on those houses forever. You know, without having any
I think I know what Chris is going to take. Carlos, what are you taking?
The cash.
Okay, Chris, are you taking followers like me?
Chris is taking
cash.
Oh.
It's cash, baby.
That's crazy.
I know, bro.
That right.
Dude, I could get a 10% return on my money right now investing in some decent bonds. That means $100,000 a year. I'm good.
Guys, attention is the asset in this economy, and with AI having 1 million people that care about you.
Oh my God,
dude! 1 million
I've invested in the wrong person.
You could sell a digital product for $100 and easily get that 10% or more when you have
every single one of the million people. If every single one of the million.
Not every single one needs to convert.
I know what you're saying. And if you want to be an influencer and you want to be on YouTube, that makes sense.
It's not just about influencer, Vitaly. Don't patronize it. Followers is just attention. It's just advertising. It's like it's real cash.
You do have a valid point. You do have a valid point, but I would like to just honestly, $1 million is enough money for a lot of people to just not even worry about having 1 million followers, right? So you have $1 million, you buy a couple of houses, you're making 10-15% on your money, you're basically done. So you don't have to worry about.
If you think life is just about sitting on a beach and getting.
But you know what it is? I think the answer that you got was very reminiscent to the age groups that you're asking the question to.
Right. I was just going to say, this is why we don't believe in Palantir. You do. Why we believe in the companies.
No, but I think that's weird because I think there are plenty of 40 or 50-year-olds will be like, the fuck? Of course I want 1 million followers because I can do something with that.
I'm not Grant Cardone, buddy.
$1 million.
I'm not Grant Cardone, so I already know that. So
you don't need to be Grant Cardone, but you know, okay.
I think when you're 25, you can be the eternal optimist. When you're in your 30s and 40s, the reality of the world is pretty strong on the other side. It's like $1 million in cash, by the way, not taxes. I fucking hate taxes. All right. That's like $700K.
There's taxes that changes the game.
Yeah.
All right. So it's 1.3 million. That's what we decided.
Yeah.
And by the way, as an aside, I just saw the founder, right, about the McDonald's story. those guys who founded McDonald's, the first guys, they each got paid whenever it was in the 80s, 1.3 million because they didn't want to pay the taxes because it ended up being $1 million they profited at the end of it because he stole the company from them. So that was interesting.
Ray Kroc
stole it from them. Yeah.
All they had to do was just say, you know what, give us 1 penny per burger sold, and that's it. They would have cleaned up.
They tried to do that. No, they tried to, and I think he screwed them. Ray Kroc screwed. He did a handshake deal on that. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. You're saying the guy who bought McDonald's from them, they gave him a flat cash payment. That's it, and then it was done.
They wanted some percentage, like a 1% or 1 penny or whatever it was. I forgot it was. He said, I can't put that in the contract, fellas. Yeah. I'll shake on it that I'll pay you. And this motherfucker never paid them.
So Ray
these
Kroc,
are the founders of McDonald's, never got paid.
Well,
they got their $1 million. They got their 1.3 million.
So here's the thing, Amit, when it came to McDonald's, McDonald's is the largest property company on the planet because what they do is they essentially they buy the property that the McDonald's sits on top of, and then they lease it and the franchise to the franchisee. So the franchisee makes burgers and all the other stuff, right? But they're beholden to the property owner because the property owner at any time can just undo the lease. So basically they could just say, okay, you're not running your business correctly. Boom. They could take away the franchise and terminate the lease. And now the business is screwed. So there can be no way where a McDonald's goes away. So the McDonald's Corporation is the largest landowner, I think, of private real estate like that in the world, actually. The most valuable real estate. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That's it for us, everybody. Thank you. I think we had like 270 people, 260 people here.
Before we go, like and subscribe right now. Join.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys.
Like
and
subscribe.
3 people watching. Wow, that's a lot of people.
That's awesome, man. That's really humbling. Thank you so much. We'll be here back tomorrow, 10 p.m. to round out the week. And thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. We will see you tomorrow.
Take care,
everybody.
I'm going to go.